Hello and welcome to my video analysing both an effective and ineffective resource for teaching grammar in primary school. Today, the internet offers an abundance of incredible resources that can be utilised to enhance student learning. However, there is also a fair few resources that could be considered to be rather ineffective. That's where we will begin, analysing the ineffective resource for teaching grammar, that is worksheets. Now, there is a few things to consider when analysing if a resource is effective or ineffective. The first of that will be looking at whether the resource allows students to learn through authentic literacy activities. Now, when it comes to these worksheets, they discourage socialization and creativity among children. They don't allow children to work together or collaborate on a project. At an age where social skills are critical and still forming, the activities in our classroom should promote collaboration, not discourage it. These grammar worksheets are very one-dimensional and offer a very basic and low-effort style of learning. Now let's move on to if this resource allows students to relate what they know to what they are learning, and is it culturally responsive. This content does in fact allow students to relate information they may already know to a new task, however only in one direct teaching technique rather than in a multitude of ways. A culturally responsive task should include dynamic instructions, allowing students to learn the content through various learning techniques. Worksheets do not allow for this to be a reality, as the learning technique is extremely one-dimensional, pursuing a style of teaching which only leads to one possible learning outcome. For example, this task is usually completed individually, whereas a culturally responsive task would include an individual exercise, a small group activity, and a large group activity, giving students the opportunity to learn through different methods both independently and as a group. Learning in a group allows students to discuss and bounce ideas off each other, leading to a more well-rounded learning outcome. Now let's talk about if this resource is motivating for students. Worksheets like these would not be considered to be very motivating. This is because the content is very simple and straightforward, and therefore completing these activities would not feel rewarding for students, as opposed to activities that challenge them and test their abilities. As this activity is so simple, it would also be considered to be quite boring, and therefore students are more likely to become disengaged while completing the activity. This is also reinforced by the fact that this is an individual activity, meaning students are not interacting with their peers, leading to a higher chance of disengagement. Now we look at if this resource adopts a balanced approach to literacy learning, and specifically the teaching of grammar and supporting students' development in reading, writing, viewing, speaking, and listening. Instantly, this form of learning through worksheets hinders students' abilities to develop their speaking and listening. This is because they are working individually and are not sharing their learning with classmates. Going over work in a group not only improves speaking and listening, but it helps to go over what is learned and revise it, making the information more likely to stick. It is also a simple task and therefore offers a small scope of learning. Writing may be the only thing that this task really helps students improve on, whereas an effective resource would offer a full learning experiencing, focusing on all 5 developmental factors. Lastly, let's look at if this resource creates a community of learners and facilitates partner and carer involvement. It has to be reiterated that this is an individual task and therefore does not encourage a community-based style of learning. To create and be part of an in-class community, it is essential to work collaboratively and preferably in groups, which this task does not allow. Therefore, this task would have to be considered to in fact discourage students from forming a stronger learning community. Now we move our attention to analysing the effective grammar resource, which is Grammar Monster. Firstly, let's discuss whether this grammar-based resource allows students to learn through authentic literacy activities. Grammar Monster provides students with an abundance of different activities that can help them in all areas of grammar. Grammar Monster is an interactive online resource that students can use to revise all areas of grammar and punctuation. Grammar Monster allows access to tens, if not hundreds of videos related to grammar and punctuation, and these videos can all be easily accessed on their website. The website is extremely user-friendly, and it is very easy to find and locate the specific areas of grammar that students are attempting to learn more about. For example, if a student wanted to learn more about the parts of speech, they could navigate to that section and then choose specifically which parts of speech they wanted to learn more about. For example, conjunctions, pronouns, verbs, etc. A link to a video would then be provided and students could watch through that video to learn more about that part of grammar. However, just watching videos is not enough. Although they are engaging and informational, a video by itself is not good enough for students to retain the information. Grammar Monster offers an abundance of self-guided tests which after watching these videos, students can complete with their freshly obtained knowledge. By offering tests, this allows students to go over the information they have just learned and to revise and retain it. By combining video learning with tests, students will gain a more complete understanding of grammar, and they are more likely to retain the information as well. Now let's look at if the resource allows students to relate what they know to what they are learning, and is it culturally responsive. Grammar Monster offers an extremely wide range of content for students to engage with and learn from. Due to its large abundance of grammar-related activities, students can pick and choose particular curriculum content which they desire to learn. Grammar Monster offers tips and tricks for students to improve their style of learning, and this is very culturally responsive, as it encourages students to explore new ways of learning. It also relates to students' prior knowledge, and there are so many grammar-related readings, activities, and tests that students can practice and improve on knowledge they may have already learnt about grammar. Now we look at if the resource is motivating for students. Grammar Monster allows students to form either small or larger groups and work together to learn grammar skills. A Stanford University research found that working together in groups boosts motivation. The study found that people who worked in groups persisted with the task at hand 46 to 64% more than those working alone on challenging tasks. They also expressed more interest in the task, as well as performing better on the task overall. It is for this reason that Grammar Monster is considered highly motivating for students. Look at if this resource adopts a balanced approach to literacy learning, and specifically the teaching of grammar and supporting students' development in reading, writing, viewing, speaking, and listening. Grammar Monster as a resource offers a very balanced approach to literacy learning and teaching grammar, and it supports students' development in several ways. As a resource, it offers students a chance to learn about all types of grammar curriculum. They offer an A to Z glossary list of all grammatical terms you could possibly think of. As this is on offer, students can target what element of grammar they want to learn more and improve upon, whether that be related to reading, writing, viewing, speaking, or listening. For example, if a student wanted to improve their abilities, they could scroll through the list and find countable nouns and demonstrative pronouns, for example, and they could follow the link to an instructive video, which they could then use to improve upon their skills. This is not the only aspect of grammar that Grammar Monster focuses on, and there are an abundance of other activities on the website, including tests and games. Having a variety of activities allows for the development of all 5 learning elements. Lastly, to reiterate, this activity encourages collaborative and group-style learning, and therefore can definitely be considered to create a community of learners and facilitate partner and carer involvement. I hope you have enjoyed this informative video on both an effective and ineffective resource used to teach grammar. Hopefully you can take my evaluation of these resources and are able to scaffold your teaching of grammar around the more effective resource, which was Grammar Monster, using the information I have provided. Thank you for listening.